everyone, we are from UiTM Puncak Alam Selangor Group AC220B4G. In this video, we are going to have a group presentation on ITM Corporation Berhad for Mfrs 8 and Mfrs 134. Before we started, we will first get to know with our group members. Our group consists of 4 members, which is Nur Azlin, Alian Naili, Nur Alia Sofia, and Nur Alisha Izayu. Part A, Segmental Reporting, Mfrs 8. I will start with the company's background. ITM Corporation Berhad is one of Malaysia's leading combination company which was formed in 1983. It is a result of a merger between 3 medium-sized local construction companies which are IGB Construction Sdn Berhad, Jurutama Sdn Berhad, and Mudajaya Sdn Berhad. In 1984, the company was renamed to ITM Engineering and Construction Sdn Berhad, which originally contained the first alphabet from those 3 combined companies. Its core business activities include construction, property development, manufacturing and quarrying, infrastructure, concession, and plantations. Next, in 1988, ITM was listed on the main board of Bursa Malaysia Security Berhad. They became a public listed company with a market capitalization of 66 million ringgit Malaysia and total assets of 172 million ringgit Malaysia. And then, in 1989, the company's name was changed to ITM Corporation Berhad along with the changes of the new company's corporate logo.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. So now, we will look at the management approach. Basically, we should know the factors to consider in preparing a segment reporting. First is nature of the product or services. As we know, the core business activities for ITM Corporation are construction, property development, manufacturing and quarrying, infrastructure concession, and the last but not least is plantations. Second is nature of the production processes. For construction, the company focuses on construction activities. Next is property development. ITM develops land into residential, vacant lots, commercial and industrial building, as well as provide maintenance and security services for its properties. For manufacturing and quarrying, the company focuses on the production and sales of concrete and quarrying activities. For infrastructure concession, ITM owns and operates 8 ships that provide long-term recurring income streams. For instance, tollway and port operations. And the final one is plantations. This plantation cultivate the oil palm, milling the fruit palm, and trading the crude palm oil. Next, the type of customer for product or services. Approach to sustainability recognize that meeting the expectation of the stakeholders is not only the right things to do, but also critical for their long-term success. Continuing engagement with the stakeholders is also important for their benefits. ITM stakeholders divided into 3 categories, which are: first, shareholders, investors, and lenders. Second is client or customer. Third is supplier or subcontractors. For shareholders, investors, and lenders, it provides ITM with the financial capacity to sustain their growth. ITM were to ensure them have a strong understanding of their own strategy, performance, and business fundamentals. Last but not least is method used to distribute the product or provide the services. ITM Corporation distribute their product and services depending on each of them. First, the construction. ITM Corporation is linked to many high-profile construction projects. For instance, metro system, bridge, highway, and building construction for both locally and internationally. ITM Construction ability to offer solution with the best combination of cost, feature, quality, maintainability, and acquisition has made them stand out in a dynamic building construction industry. Their expertise in building construction is evident in commercial and cultural complexes, such as shopping malls. Also, bridge and highways, railways and metro system, utilities, and civil engineering. In Malaysia, IGM Construction Berhad is involved in all major rail transportation network in Klang Valley, including infrastructure for light rail transit (LRT), mass rapid transit (MRT), KTM railway, and the KL monorail project. Second is property development. The property division of the group, led by IGM Land Berhad, they has emerged as one of Malaysia's largest property developers, with sprawling township, commercial buildings, and high-rise condominium in key growth areas across the country. Besides that, in India, IGM has developed itself as a reputable township developer, with a world-class township and a commercial projects to its credit. As seen in the report, Raintree Park Phase 1 at the Kukatpally, Hyderabad, is an international class integrated township. Other than that, Raintree Park Dwaraka Krishna at the Vijayawada, India, is being developed by IGM Lingamaneni Township Private Limited as a joint venture between IGM India, Mfrs Limited with the LEPL Project Limited. Thirdly is plantation. IGM ventured into oil palm plantation in 1985 as a source of steady income to cushion the cycle nature of its core construction business. Since 2013, IGM Plantation Berhad has been listed on the main board of Bursa Malaysia and is now an upstream agribusiness company involved in oil palm plantation. Lastly is infrastructure. IGM Corporation Berhad experience in building transportation networks, power plants, and water treatment facilities. It has helped enrich society in Malaysia, India, Vietnam, and Latin America. IGM's toll infrastructure services cover a wide range of project specifications, including the design, development, operation, and maintenance of tolls from beginning to the end. Additionally, Quantum Port is managed by Quantum Port Consortium Segaran Berhad (KPC), which is jointly owned by IGM Corporation Berhad and Bebul Gulf Holding Limited Company. It is a deep water, all-weather, multi-cargo seaport facing the South China Sea that stands at the heart of global trade and industrial activities. So next, what is the type of segment that have been used by IGM Corporation? IGM Corporation Berhad provides our segmentation report on the operation segment in the annual report. According to Mfrs 8, operating segment requires the entity to disclose information to enable users of its financial statement to evaluate the nature and financial effect of the business activities in which it engages and the economic environment which it operates. IGM Corporation Berhad have thus given details on their geographical information as well as segment analysis. For construction, a geographical segment through which IGM Corporation Berhad have journeyed in the last 3 decades, which is Malaysia, Singapore, China, Vietnam, India, Pakistan, and the Middle East. Next, property development. IGM Property maximizes their portfolio of 4,000 acres of undeveloped land in Malaysia consists of Penang, Pahang, Greater Kuala Lumpur, Seremban, Johor, Sabah, and Sarawak. While in the foreign country, it is India, China, and the United Kingdom. Okay, for plantation, like I said just now, IGM Plantation Berhad is now an upstream agribusiness company. So these upstream operations are carried out in Malaysia and Indonesia, where it was a world's 2 largest palm oil producing countries. And the last one is infrastructure. To sum up everything that has been stated so far, IGM current infrastructure properties comprise 9 toll roads concession, where 4 in Malaysia, 4 in India, and 1 in Argentina. Quantum Port, a water treatment plant in Vietnam, and a power plant in India. Okay, the last one for management approach that we will discuss is to identify the chief of decision making, or the short form is CODM, and what is the responsibility. The term Chief of Decision Making or CODM refers to a person whose function is to assess the performance of the various segment and decide on the allocation of resources to the segment. The Chief Operating Decision Maker of an entity is often the Chief Executive Officer (CEO) or Chief Operating Officer (COO) although it may also be the Chief Financial Officer, CFO. Mr. Liu Haoseng is a Chief Executive Officer, CEO, as well as the Managing Director of the IJM Corporation Berhad. The responsibility is that the CODM effectively oversees the management team, which does have power over the operational decision taken. As Mr. Liu Haoseng is a CEO and Managing Director of the company, he shall be the chairman of the Executive Committee. So the Executive Committee primary duties and responsibilities are as follows. First, the Board of Directors can approve or disapprove any transaction related to core business or existing investment. The transactions are also subject to certain conditions, including the threshold at which value of the transaction cannot exceed 5% of the group net tangible asset. Number 2, the Executive Committee has the authority to make decisions on the opening and closure of banking accounts, as well as the issuance of corporate guarantees or letter of insurance in accordance with the group activities. Number 3, to notify and invite the directors to attend the meeting to consider and commit the construction project of value exceeding 500 million. Number 4 is to notify the directors of announcements in relation to acquisition, disposal, and contract for release to Bursa Malaysia securities in compliance with the main market listing requirement. And the last point is to undertake such a function and consider all matters as be approved by the Board of Directors.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Azrin binti Muhammad Azman. Next, I will present on question C on how to reproduce a new segmental report. But before that, I have to explain about the process to identify the reportable and non-reportable segment. The first process is to identify all the operating segments. Operating segments is a component of an entity that engage in a business from which it may earn revenue or incur expenses, including all the transactions from other segments. It must first be reviewed by a Chief of Decision Maker, CODM, and has a discrete financial information available. CODM must first be determined in order to identify the operating segments. CODM is a person who will allocate resources to its segments, and they will assess the performance of various segments. For IJM Corporation Berhad, their CODM is Mr. Liu Haoseng, which is the Chief Executive Officer. The second process is to assess the operating segments for grouping. Multiple operating segments can be combined together if they have similar economic characteristics, as long as these following elements are also the same. The first one is the nature of the product or services. The second one is the nature of the production process. The third one is the type or class of customer. And the last one is the method used to distribute the product or to provide the services. The third process is to apply the 10% threshold test. The calculation can be based on 3 elements. The first one is using revenue, the second one is using profit or loss, and the third one is using the assets. For the revenue elements, we have to combine both the external and internal revenue, and the calculation must be exceeding 10% or more than the combined revenue of all operating segments. If using the second element, which is the profit or loss element, the calculation must be exceeding 10% or more of either the combined profit or either the combined losses of all operating segments, whichever is greater in absolute amount. For the third element, which is the assets, the calculation must be exceeding 10% or more of all the combined assets of all the operating segments. Lastly, after applying the 10% threshold test, the segment should be classified as reportable segment if it meets any of these 3 elements. So, this is the 10% threshold test. As we can see, only one segment out of 6 segments, which is the investment and others, is classified as non-reportable segment because the calculation showed that it only reached 9.54%, which is below 10%. So the other 5 segments will be classified as reportable segments. The fourth process is to apply the 75% test. This test is different compared to the 10% test just now because we will only use the external revenue. The company must combine all of the external revenue attributable to those reportable segments that we identified just now on 10% test, and it should at least 75% of total external revenue. If this 75% test doesn't meet, additional segment should be identified and combined together until it meets at least 75%. So this is the 75% test. The first thing is, we have to total up all the external revenue excluding the investment and others segment, which is 410,000 because it is classified as non-reportable segments on 10% test. And then we got the external revenue amounted to 1428,379. And then we divide by the total of external revenue, and then we got 99.98%. The total external revenue of reporting segment is greater than 75% of the entity's total external revenue. Therefore, additional segment is no need to be identified and combined. The conclusion is only investment and other segments is classified as non-reportable segment. So, this is the new segmental reporting after applying the 10% and 75% test. As we can see, there are 5 segments out of 6 is classified as reportable segments, and only 1 segment, which is the investment and others segment, is classified as non-reportable segments. So this is the total revenue, and we have other information down below here, which is regarding the assets.
Now, I will explain the last question in part A, which is the conclusion. The interim reporting has an advantage and also disadvantage of using it. First, I will tell the 3 advantages of the interim reporting. The first one, it can help separate the profitable segments. Operating segments may be with the business segment and also a geographical segment. Business segment is a business is not always engaged with one product only. Instead, they are usually operate with a variety of products or services or a group of related products or services. Geographical segment is there are some business that also operate in and outside Malaysia. This will help to reveal which areas are more profitable and which are not profitable. This will lead to change in strategic decision. As for IJM Corporation Berhad, they have 6 business segments. The segmental reporting help to clearly identify the segment that is more profitable, which is construction, and the unprofitable segment, which is investment and others. Second, it will help investors to see the full picture of the company. According to the FAR570 Financial Dictionary, segment reporting is when a business report its financial activities by sector instead of as a one. Segment reporting help investors to see the full picture of a company. In general, IJM Corporation Berhad will monitor the profit record for each quarter. As for the accumulate for the first and the second quarter ended 30 September 2020, the most profitable segment is construction, and the unprofitable segment among others is investment and others. For most financial investors and without the segment reporting, they might only see the company doing well, but an investor may be worried that a company only is having profit is one sector and not having such a full sector elsewhere in the company. The third advantage is allocation of resources. If segment information is disclosed to parties outside the enterprise, it can help improve the allocation of scarce resources in an economy. Uncertainty in the investment market is caused by a lack of information, rendering the market inefficient. The disclosure of information will eliminate flaws in the investment market and allow it to function properly. Furthermore, the disclosure of segment information may have a significant impact on management performance and encourage them to work in the best interest of society and investor. It aids in the prevention of corporate abuse such as fraud, unfair pricing policies, and unfair trade practice. Next, the disadvantage of segment reporting. First, it involves disclosure costs. The cost of disclosure will be included in segment reporting. The provision of additional information in addition through routine information raise the firm operating cost in terms of collecting processing costs and management control system costs. The cost argument is also linked to increased competition as a result of segment reporting. The second disadvantage of segment reporting is allocation problem. In a business where more than one product is dealt with, there will almost certainly be costs that are shared by two or more products. General administrative expense and legal fees are examples of joint costs. When doing segment reporting, allocation these shared costs become a complex problem. However, there may be some common costs that can be apportioned on a reasonable basis, such as a director's salaries that can only be apportioned on an arbitrary basis. The third disadvantage of segment reporting is difficulty in providing data. Measurement issues have resulted in a difficulty in providing and while performing segment reporting. Because the measurement problem influences the feasibility of disclosing specific information, the problem of determining segment information should be examined. When we look at the profit and loss statement, we will immediately notice a problem with the sales figures, particularly inter-segment sales.
First of all, we should understand what is the basis of preparation of the interim report. Interim period is a separate period in the financial year, and the report are prepared on a periodic basis. For IGN Corporation Berhad, it was prepared on the quarterly accounting basis, where the condensed consolidated interim financial report for the second quarter reporting period ended 30 September 2020 has been prepared in accordance with accounting standard described method Mfrs 134 interim financial reporting. An interim financial report of IGN Corporation Berhad includes: first, the statement of financial position of the group as at 30 September 2020. Second is the statement of comprehensive income. And the third is statement of change in equity. And the last one is the statement of cash flow for the financial period ended 30 September 2020. It also consists of explanatory notes attached to the interim financial report, providing an explanation of events and transactions that are significant in understanding the changes in the financial position and the performance of the group since the financial year ended 31st March 2020.
Next, the question is we need to identify any two accounting policies used in preparing the interim report. The first one is Mfrs 116 Property, Plant and Equipment. IGN Corporation Berhad initially measured all items of property, plant and equipment at cost. It can be recognized by cost less accumulated depreciation and less accumulated impairment loss, if any. For the freehold land, it will not depreciate because it has an infinite life and the capital work in progress. Any cost that is directly attributable will comprise the acquisition of the asset. Property, plant and equipment are depreciated on a straight line basis to write off the cost of the asset to their residual values over their estimated useful life, and only the beer plant will depreciate over the remaining useful life, and the immature beer plants are not depreciated until such time one is suitable for use. These are the other useful lives of asset and its depreciation rate. For buildings, including hotel properties, they have 2 years useful life and 10% of depreciation rate. For plant, machinery and equipment and vehicle, they have 4 years useful life and 33.3% of depreciation rate. And the lastly is office equipment, furniture and fittings and renovation. They have 5 years useful life to 33.3% of depreciation rate. The second policy is Mfrs 102 inventories. Inventories are assets held for sale in ordinary course of business, in the process of production for such sale, or in the form of material or supplies to be consumed in the production process or in the rendering or services. In IJM Corporation Berhad, their inventories are land held for property development, consists of land held for future development, property development cost, unit of complete development properties, weekend industrial and bungalow lots held for sale, and other inventories such as construction and raw materials, quarry and manufactured product, palm and palm oil product, and consumables. All of the inventories will be started in the lowest of cost and net realizable value. The expenditure associated with the acquisition of the inventories will be attributable to the cost of purchasing the inventories, such as the cost of bringing the inventories to their present location.
My name is Nur Azim binti Muhammad Azman. Next, I will present on question C, which is on how to identify the types of interim report prepared by the company. So the company used condensed. The condensed statement of IJM Corporation Berhad, which is reported quarterly, had included the minimum of its heading and subtotals per latest annual financial statement, which were the statement of financial position, the statement of changes in equity, the statement of comprehensive income, and the statement of cash flows for the financial year ended 30 September 2020 respectively. It also includes the selected explanatory notes as required by Mfrs 134 and the basic and diluted earnings per share on the statement of comprehensive income.
Interim report of IJM Corporation Berhad is prepared by quarterly basis. Identify the period for the current and comparative of each statement prepared by the company. For statement of financial position, the current interim period ended at 30 September 2020. The period is from 1 April 2020 until 30 September 2020, while for the comparative period ended at 31st March 2020, the period is on 1 April 2019 until 31st March 2020. For condensed statement of comprehensive income, there are 3 months ended, which is from July to September 2020. The current interim period ended at 30 September 2020, which is the period is from 1st July 2020 until 30 September 2020. While for the comparative period, it's ended on 30 September 2019, which is the period is from 1 July 2019 until 30 September 2019. There are also 6 months ended with the cumulative period, which is from April until September 2020. In the current interim period, it's ended on 30 September 2020, which is the period is from 1 April 2020 until 30 September 2020. While for the comparative period, it's ended on 30 September 2019. The period is from 1 April 2019 until 30 September 2019. Next, statement of cash flow. We use 6 months ended, which is the cumulative period from April until September 2020. For the current interim period, ended on 30 September 2020, the period is on 1 April 2020 until 30 September 2020, while for the comparative period, ended on 30 September 2019, the period is from 1 April 2019 until 30 September 2019. For a statement of changes in equity, we also use 6 months ended, which is the cumulative period from April until September 2020. For the current interim period, ended on 30 September 2020, the period is from 1 April 2020 until 30 September 2020, while for the comparative period, ended on 30 September 2019, the period is from 1 April 2019 until 30 September 2019. Propose any 2 adjustments made by the company to be included in the interim report and prepare and extract any one of the financial statements to show the effect before and after adjustments. Adjustment 1. On 30 September 2020, the cost of the inventories was 7670,168,000 ringgit Malaysia. The net realizable value of the inventories as at 30 September 2020 is 6500,000,000 ringgit Malaysia. According to Mfrs 102, the inventories shall be measured at the lower of cost and net realizable value. Therefore, the value of the inventories as at 30 September 2020 is the net realizable value. Adjustment 2. IJM Corporation Berhad had estimated that only 80% of the account receivables can be collected as at 30 September 2020. On 31st December 2020, the company also estimated that the amount collectible will decrease to 70%. On the second quarter, which is on 30 September 2020, there is 20% uncollectible amount of account receivable. Therefore, there will be impairment loss in SOPL of 384,810,000, and then account receivable will be credited of 384,810,000. For the third quarter, which is on 31st December 2021, there will be impairment loss because there are 30% of the account receivable that cannot be collected. Therefore, the amount is 577,215,000 will be on SOPL, and then the account receivable will be credited on the same amount. This is an extract of Statement of Profit or Loss and Other Comprehensive Income for Quarter 2 and Quarter 3. The expenses of impairment will be recorded because of increase in allowance for doubtful debt. And this is an extract for Statement of Financial Position for Quarter 2 and Quarter 3. The current assets of inventories and account receivable are recorded. That's all from us. Thank you.